Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships for something different today, which is going to be defense of Naval Station Newport. This is operation with Flagships, and we're going to have a massive damage game. I think probably it's the most damage I've done in terms of flagship operations. The damage in operations with flagships is a bit inflated, and that's like really loud. So let's bring these down. That should be better. But the damage that you can get out of operations flagship is inflated over normal operations, like what you would normally get in a regular defensive naval station Newport. Because here you see a Clausewitz in the back with a lot of hit points, being 188,000. So we're gonna aim for him as we are playing the Libertad. I'm looking at the San Martin because I'm like, he's playing a little bit aggressive for a light cruiser, getting a little too far up there. So watch how the San Martin and Petropavlovsk do this game. So Libertad is one among my favorite brawling battleships to take in this game mode, and I'm just like kind of tired of hearing his voice constantly. So it's really good between, I mean, yes, you have 12 419s, but you won't always get big damage salvos just like that. But the secondaries is really where the ship shines, and that's where we've built in even on the 6 upgrade slot. We've taken improved reload on the auxiliary armaments for the secondary battery, so we have a faster reloading time. So you can see, like, we're having some secondaries hit the Clausewitz for the same damage our main battery ultimately hit the Rune or Amalfi, whichever one it was we shot earlier here. So we do smash, get rid of him. And part of this positioning here, now that Petropavlovsk is going, probably a little too early to be pushing out really strong like that, unless you're pushing up to get on the side more, which is what we're doing here. When you have the larger hit point ships, like 188,000 Clausewitz, ultimately you want to get up on its side and utilize the island like this. So even though if Clausewitz uses all of his torpedoes on us, like, he'll just hit them into the island, because we also have enhanced propulsion on top of having a really good rudder shift, and that's one of the things that makes this ship really busted. But I much prefer building into the secondaries, which is why we're going to have such a big, massive damage game when we go for the secondaries over going from main battery, was it mod 3, where you have a even faster improved reload time on your main battery. So we're going to go ahead and probably, I think what we end up doing here is we kite out. When they spawn in the middle, they'll either spawn to the left or they spawn to the right. It seems to be if they spawn in the middle, they more normally spawn on the left, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know. It feels like Wargaming is always messing with things. And then they're going to spawn back in mid after spawning on this is the second wave. So we've lost the Petropavlovsk already on the first wave. So let's see how the San Martin fares on the second wave. The other thing that's really fun with Libertad, of course, is the funny button that we get here on the ship, meaning that we're improving our range of our secondaries, we're improving the damage at which they hit at, as well as improving the reload time. Because you have both 127s and 234s. And the 234s alone hit for 3,850. So you can get some pretty big damage numbers. There I was waiting until the F key consumable ran its course. So then by the time my shells land on the FDG, we're already back up to halfway progress with our funny button, as it were. Another thing that really, with the secondary brawling ships, if we're playing like, let's say, Schlieffen as an example, or even Los Andes or whatever, it's also if you're able to position your ship in such a way that you can get, I'm not angled enough here, by the way. I think I was doing something off screen. If you can get your secondaries firing off both sides of your ship. So as this Elbing pushes deeper in, my secondaries off my port side should also start opening up on the Elbing. And we've already filled the F key consumable bargain. You can see the San Martin has grounded himself and having to deal with Satsuma. Yeah, so he's dead. So part of getting big damage games in operations also entails your team that you have multiple die early on, so you can ultimately farm more damage. And like Libertad is one of those ships that I feel quite confident in to be able to easily pump a lot of damage out. Ultimately, all said and done, even if I lose a lot of ships around me, which you're going to see in this game, that does indeed happen. So we're going to keep focusing on the FDG. Another thing we've been doing that's really helpful for us is if we're always able to isolate our engagements. I mean, San Martin was taking some shots for us, of course, but that Satsuma, right? 310,000 hit points. We've utilized that small island there to keep him off of us for the most part. I'm just going to let my secondaries finish off the FDG. And then I'm like, well, I don't want Brindisi to get too close up on me and then utilize torpedoes, which we just permanently incapacitated, by the way, with our secondaries. So that's very helpful. But bot behavior, they pretty much launched their torpedoes as soon as they had the opportunity to get the chance. One of the big things I have to watch out there, for example, with Satsuma, is the stern of Libertad is flat. So it's actually possible for Satsuma to easily just shoot right up our stern and citadel us. So I was trying to reaccelerate forward there and hoping to prevent that from happening. And you see we're up to 300,000 damage now, and trust it's going to get much higher. So in the meantime, we're going to kind of make sure we're angling, make sure we're not going to hit the island here, which Doom is drawing the attention of Satsuma right now. So it's actually, as soon as I get past this island, I can swing my stern out and get turned back around to deal with the enemy ships that are coming now through mid. And yeah, so that's a lot of hit points to have to chime through. Is that like the Christmas fir tree camouflage or something like that? I don't remember. So Doom takes him out. It's great. So now up to 422,000 damage with 654 potential. So we haven't had a ton of potential yet this game, as we've had other people pulling salvos off, taking damage away from us, or us taking damage, like the Petro, like the San Martin. And of course, the bots always focus on what's closest to them, so now they're focusing Doom and pushing up when he took out the Satsuma. So trying to get up back into the battle. I don't have one of the commander key skills that would give me a 5th heal. I'm a 20-point commander right now, so it'd be very helpful if I'm able to have that at some point. It'll be soon. Probably have to use some Elite Commander XP to get that going here. So 188,000 Klaus. I'm also looking at the destroyers. One of the big things that typically happens with the third wave is that the destroyers typically will break the line in getting into the defense, the cap. So that's why I switched my secondaries off over to Yamagiri initially to see if I couldn't bust his engine possibly. But now we're going to switch it back to Clausewitz because if we get rid of him, and we'll probably use our F key here, yeah. Then I can switch fire off onto the other ships. So that's why I'm moving back in. So as the enemy bots move back towards space mid, I want to be back here so I can get some really nice broadside salvos here. Waiting just a little bit more. Get that salvo off. He does take a Jetland torp, which is really helpful. And I'm switching to high explosive now for Elbing. This felt like that was the best play at the moment as we use our secondaries on Hirugamo. We want to slow Hirugamo down, but the other Libertad is coming around and he's smashing the Hirugamo. So it's like, okay, that makes me feel a bit more confident here in this situation. Nevertheless, we don't want Elbing to get too close, so we're going to use high explosive there and switch back to the armor piercing, get a nice 10k salvo with the 419s. And then now it's the Hindenburg, which actually I'm going to have to swing more back this way to be able to get shots on him. Because the island's getting close between both me and the Preußen, the Libertad, he has shots just over the island, so like this is a little too close for comfort here, and we angle. The other thing that really helps, of course, with the Libertad, like you see me utilizing here, is that amazing rudder shift. So we're always able to angle our armor as best as possible, unless I'm just like earlier I had too much side showing to the FDG. But we're always able to rock the ship in our favor. And the reason we don't want to go out around the island is because Hindenburg probably fired torpedoes, which he did. So what I want to do here is I want to reverse, and then we're going to shoot the Clausewitz in Venezia. And what's going to happen here is, because there's only 3 of us human players, and we have the bot Des Moines joining us in now, is we're going to have to go back towards a heel, or go back into the cap. One of the challenges is, and I had it happen I think the same night I was playing, sometimes if you're too far out by the time the 3rd wave comes, unless you're able to isolate the engagement, like maybe you're down with Venezia and Clausewitz spawn, and you're right there and you get to jump on them, then you can easily then switch to the Preußen and Piemonte or whatever. Or if you're up maybe where our other Libertad is at D9, or E9, excuse me, if you're already behind that island on the D10 and swing out, that helps, because you also have the Satsuma there who's sitting in E6, E5, and he always focuses whoever's closest to him. So right now I'm expecting it's possible that the Satsuma is shooting him, or will be shooting me, one or the other, because we've had some island cover to help us where Satsuma's not focusing us. So don't be surprised if Satsuma will take a shot at you like 20 some kilometers away. It just depends on who's closest to him. Other great thing about being in this specific position, as Satsuma is shooting us, and I swing out because I thought the shells would go into the water, even though it means I'm showing one more side. And so the gamble paid off, because I don't want them pinning through my 51mm deck and citadeling me. But the other thing that pays off with this position is that basically as the Venezia and Clausewitz push in, I have both their broadsides. So our secondary is able to do damage, as well as getting main battery hits. So again, the secondaries on Libertad are quite nice, because we're just passively incapacitating secondary or torpedoes. So yeah, you just saw that. Like, so we take out Venezia's torpedoes permanently. We just permanently incapacitated a rack on Clausewitz, and then we temporarily incapacitated another one of his torpedo racks. So like, Libertad is like honestly one of those ships in the game. Like, you really don't have to have much of a brain to play to get a lot out of this ship, so to speak, because really all it comes down is to angling your ship and minding your position, and select, of course, you know, control left mouse key, whatever ship you want to shoot with your secondary battery. I mean, like, that's really all it comes down to. So now we're already coming up on 700,000 damage. Here you're going to see me working, having secondaries fire from both sides of the ship, so I don't want to go so far into the back. I kind of want to be hanging around here loosely. I mean, we had our F key going, so that extends our main battery firing range. I don't want to ram the island in front of me. So I'm basically working on taking shots on ships that will help me fill my progress bar at the moment. Another thing that's challenging with the ship is that you can easily over-accelerate, and then you can put yourself too far forward. And I didn't want to go quite this far forward because I still want my secondaries firing on the Piemonte. So that's on me. So it's kind of like Des Moines legendary mod, unique upgrade, where you have the Lamborghini acceleration, so to speak. If you go for that unique upgrade on top of propulsion in the 4th slot, it's like quite a lot. So I'm going to now utilize where my secondaries are going to be focusing on Elbing. And we still have secondaries firing off towards the Clausewitz there, which is great. And then you actually see we have 2 bot destroyers that spawn in off of E10, and they're going to come in, and they're going to unfortunately take damage away from us, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, if you felt like this battle is getting a bit close. So we're going to be playing off with the Preußen here, so we have a little bit of a powerhouse coming out of this spot, and picking up a double kill there. although no achievements for such things, but it's fun to say that in operations. Still shooting Elbing, seeing the poison. So once Elbing goes away, we should be priority selecting the poison. Get the F key going. And I'm not sure who Poison's going to shoot. He shoots other Poison because we're showing too much broadside for Poison's 457s right there. And over 800,000 damage now. And so I'm like, hey, it's possible. I might get a million damage this game, not a million potential. Like it feels, if I say a million, it feels like I should be saying potential damage, not just damage. So I'm really hoping like that's possible. Because there's a lot of hit points there on Satsuma still to be had, as well as this Poison. There's over 200,000 between the two of them. But it depends on how much damage they end up taking from the my Poison friend and also the Destroyer bots. So typically, when you're playing Defensive Naval Station Newport, I like being a little more proactive outside of the harbor. Like, honestly, a lot of more... I don't mean to sound rude, but a lot more inexperienced players will say, stay in the port, stay in the port, stay in the port. And I get why they say that, because they'll see people push out beyond the defense zone, the green line, kind of where our secondary is on the minimap, and they die early on, like the San Martin, like the Petropavlovsk, right? But like really, you shouldn't be dying in the first, second wave, especially. But part of also being proactive outside of the harbor is getting those really nice broadsides on targets. If you're playing like a destroyer, lining up torpedoes, a secondary, brawling battleship, a cruiser that can really punch and utilizing the islands or your smoke screen. So it alleviates the pressure that gets put on the harbor as ships push into you. Like that's the point of playing outside of the harbor. So really it just ends up, everyone has their own opinion, perspective. You know, it's a subjective opinion I have that I think it's better to play outside the harbor to an extent, but there is certainly a time that you probably should, definitely towards the end, be playing inside the harbor. It just depends on what's happening during the course of the battle. This one's quite hard because if they get in past the outer line of defense perimeter, then it's an instant you lose 2 stars, which is like really annoying. So then it's like becomes a 3-star up. But we would have lost 1 star because we've lost so many allied ships, which isn't great. So we get a little bit of an island terrain view here as we're now 971,974. And I'm like, I think Mahan got some torpedoes on Satsuma Yamato earlier. So it took away valuable hit points. And I'm like really hoping Poison, yeah, he still has shots. So I was like, but he deflected most of that. We have a fire ticking. And we're going to end with 994,000 damage here in Defensive Naval Station Newport. So still had the health to play with, of course, but I mean, you do have a decently vulnerable broadside, although sometimes I feel like I shoot broadsides in the game on Libertads and like overpins or just nothing at all. It's quite strange. So that's 994,000 damage with 150 main battery hits, 895 secondary hits. Of course, something like Schlieffen. Schlieffen is kind of one of those boats that, because mentally, psychologically, if you take like the auxiliary armaments in slot 6, you're like, hey, in this same game, Flimsy, I could have done like maybe 1,800, 2,000 secondary ribbons. And that's very valid, very true, but one of the big changes or the big keys here with Libertad is that you have 234 millimeter secondary battery guns that hit for a lot higher alpha than anything that you can get out of the Schlieffen. I think what the largest on Schlieffen is like 150s. I could be wrong. So our secondaries end up ultimately farming a lot of damage. On top of that, we can use the F key and get out past 14 kilometers with our secondary battery range. So 30 fires. So our main battery, we weren't finding much high explosives. So this was secondaries doing a lot of work and setting fires on ships, because the 234s have I think like a 21% chance, and the 127s I think are less than that. But 3,141 base XP, with the Poison having 1,764. So that's definitely good stuff there. Detailed report, so here you go. So our main battery, we only did 213,000 damage with our main battery. And then our secondary battery did over double the amount of damage. It's 476,000, and fires did 300,000. Yeah, so there's a lot that the Libertad, I think she shouldn't take the main battery mod 3 for faster reload on the main battery in the slot 6, because ultimately, like, the dispersion is much more trollish than, as an example, than Schlieffen, if you want to make that comparison. So then the secondaries is kind of what you really end up more relying on in this brawling battleship, if you will. Million potential damage, 45,000 spotting. Those things are going to help with the base XP, and we took 120,000 damage ultimately. We only lost 4 secondaries, so that's actually pretty good. We do take like preventative maintenance to help us out with the survivability of our secondary batteries as well. And then I think we were just running some green boosters. I don't remember. So 406,000 credits all said and done. So that is a game, almost 1 million damage in flagship operations. There is a Discord community devoted towards operations. It's a Void server, and I'm forgetting the name of his server. He's one of my clanmates. A lot of action there, a lot happening. It's not a wargaming Discord server. It's a player-oriented Discord server, and they do a great job with it, Void and others who help on with that. So I'll put that invite link below, but there's definitely other people there, I think, who they have done over 1 million damage with various ships. Genon is kind of like one of those ships that, like an Aegis or other ops, depending on how poor your team behaves, that you can definitely get a lot of damage out of, just knowing all the spots to go to. So I'll put Void server invite link, and maybe I'll pin a comment below if you're interested in more operations action. And Void even himself has a YouTube channel devoted towards operations. I don't spend much time with ops. I kind of like a little bit more of the PvP environment of the game to an extent, but I actually play I play operations every single week. I just don't feature it much on the channel. So this is a little bit of maybe a treat for you guys today, for those of you who like ops at least. So if you liked this video, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And thank you to my Patreon supporters. And until next time, take care.